Welcome to the One Puff Media Podcast, brought to you by The High Index, bringing you real conversations with people shaping the future of cannabis. Join us weekly to go behind the scenes of tech and innovation powering the plant. Come roll with us.
Hey, welcome back to this episode of One Puff Media. Billy, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Excited to meet Blaine and Distru.
Yeah, Blaine with Distru is our guest today. Blaine, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. For everyone who doesn't know about Distru and who doesn't know about your journey, why don't you kind of just break it down and let everyone know what you're about and what Distru's about?
Yeah, totally. As co-founders, Johnny, Ozim, and I, we started about 9 years ago. So it's been a long journey, which is exciting. So I've been here since 2016 about. Kind of like hackers. Johnny and I are hackers. We kind of come from like a building software engineering background. And then Ozim came from like kind of a little bit more in the cannabis industry. And we all started together, kind of going after the Makursa opportunity when distribution got legalized in California. We saw it as like a big opportunity. I was doing a hardware product in cannabis before, but saw that and decided to drop it and start iterating towards how we can solve the distribution problem. And that's where we landed on Distru and focused on distribution software, focused on sales, kind of routing and planning, and then kind of just expanded and iterated from there.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you had some hardware background, and I guess, being out in the West Coast, probably some cannabis background, And so what was that transition like, I guess, getting the software of the floor, off the floor? How did that process go for you guys 9 years ago, especially in the weird world of legality back then?
So we're on iteration here at Distru. So it was really just like a commitment to calling a certain number of operators every single day and building a new product to launch and test every single week. So I say that we started with the Makursa, but really we were trying to approach software and cannabis through a few different lenses. So we were doing like CannaDoctor.com, CannaLander, a landing page generator for dispensaries. What else was there? CannaCare, about caregivers. I thought that was a really cool world and met some incredible people, by the way. Caregivers, wow. Thank you for your service out there. You've done some beautiful things. But then we landed on distribution in the supply chain. It was a really big opportunity, and we felt that it was actually really critical, and software really was going to shine there. It was a lot of iteration. Just, call operators. Hey, how can I build a cannabis caregiver network? Hey, do you need a landing page? Hey, do you need CRM software? And you just cold call and launch and launch and launch.
So the early version wasn't really like this built out robust platform you have now. It was really just a la carting services to anyone that you can connect with and then building out something meaningful.
Yeah, it started off in a lot of ways. It really started with sales and like the routing. And it was like, oh, what's unique about cannabis that makes cannabis different? And we're like the THC, the compliance. But then there was also the field marketing side of it. So it was like, oh, let's focus on the sales rep kind of to the retail interaction. So that's where we started, but we kind of like went back towards the rest of the supply chain as went on. But sales is a big part.
So just kind of pivoted to what was hot, kind of, what worked.
Yeah, I mean, you pivot to what the customers want. I feel like every company, man, the customers pull you.
Right.
I think if you can drop your kind of the ego in the sense that I create this thing that comes out there, you're just finding the market that allows you to be something. And usually the amount of revenue that you get correlates to how valuable that thing is to those people. For better or worse.
Find a pain. Yeah. Find a pain point, right? Yeah.
But I like to find the customers that pull us towards them and really just learn through them and find what their needs are and work with them. Yeah.
We're going through.
Did you try anything that didn't work? Like, this sounds awesome, but no, shit ain't working.
Oh, I mean,
right?
Did I not just list the freaking 10 websites?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right.
Yeah, I bought like 10 URLs in 12 weeks and they all died. CannaLander was not a hit. CannaCaregiver. That was a funny one.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
What was Cannacaregiver?
I was going to build it was so early on. So I was like, is cannabis going to be farm to table? Like, I was like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I was like, maybe it will. So, let's try to just make it literally farm to table, go right to the farmers, get the caregivers, and they directly deploy the medicine to people and build a pseudo health ecosystem to solve your medical issues, because like I'm very rooted in caring about the medical replacement side of cannabis. I believe that it has provided a lot of better care for people and than traditional healthcare in a few different ways. So I really love that you can like deploy the medicine to people in unique ways and creative modalities that I think help people in a really powerful way.
Dude, I never thought
Yeah.
about that. I come from the restaurant background, farm to table, but farm to table, cannabis. Oh, yeah.
A little different, a
A little
little different.
different.
I tried.
Right.
I tried to start a farm to table country cannabis kitchen and market is what I tried to start here in Virginia in 2021. And I had planned on buying this winery and converting all of the grape, all of the soil, all of the property, it was about 10 acres, and converting that to actual farm to table and donating all we don't use for our lunch and breakfast meals back to the community. And then in the same way, grow cannabis on site, allow it to be consumed on site, and not sell the cannabis, all given away for free. And that's why I started Nova Green Thumbing back in 2021. And that has since gone away. And so it's been interesting seeing the shift in the ideas come out and then what's executed on it and then where we are just from 10 years ago. And I think about that consumption lounge in Nevada, in Vegas. The first one ever is already closed.
Yeah.
So I think that's a telling
Oh, it
thing
already
about.
closed?
Yeah.
Oh,
I put
like
an article about
recently?
it. Yeah. The first one ever closed. I think that's wild.
Just recently,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, in the past couple months, which I think is wild because clearly they didn't do it right. You're in a place where everyone's smoking anywhere they want anyways. They're walking outside and lighting up a J. So you're already up against the battle. I just don't think they did it right. But who am I to say?
I think they were
So, like,
squeezed
what
out by the
happened to
casinos.
Yeah, go ahead, Billy. Go ahead.
No, I think they were squeezed out by the casinos. Casinos were kind of, talking about allowing cannabis consumption, smoking in the casinos. So
I mean, that would only
That's my
help them, you
feeling.
would think, right?
Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
only
for
help
sure.
them. Everyone just getting high in the blackjack table.
double down, double down.
Oh my God, it would be great. They would thrive. The first stoner friendly casino. I feel
That'd
like
be
it would be
unbelievable.
hot. So
Yeah.
how
But
did
I
the
do think
did I like Tyson Family Farms and all those? Did that whole like farm event scene, did that kind of blow up, or did people still doing that? Because I love that idea.
no, people are still doing it. You're seeing it all over the
Nice.
country, that kind of idea. It's weird. In Virginia, we're not legal, but there's a place down south for me. They have what's called a Frosted Fridays, and you can get whatever you want. And it is farm to table. So it's all these local farmers who are all growing their own, and it's really cool. And that is a consumption friendly place. And I think you're seeing a lot of that, but it's just, it's difficult because then you have that toil of, well, it's not regulated, it's not tested. And then so you have this kind of weird different consumer markets, and I can't say it's necessarily a black market. It's just kind of this weirder market.
Yeah. And it's hard to figure that out. The only lounge I went to is in San Francisco, and I was just, no one came in. So I was just alone smoking a J for so long with not a single person there. It was kind of weird, but it was nice.
Yeah.
You're just hanging out by yourself in there. I love it.
That was a fun day.
Yeah. So how do you, I guess, as getting back on Distru and what you guys have built, what are the types of customers that you're serving today versus what you were serving when you first got started?
Yeah. So, I mean, in the name Distru, so we started out with distribution, and there's like a few different touch points off of that. Like sales and moving towards the front of the supply chain and vertical retailers. Then you have manufacturers and processors and co-mans, and then you get to the cultivators and the producers. So we started in the distribution, and then we kind of branched more towards sales. And then now we branched out towards manufacturing like a few years ago. So now where we're at is manufacturers, processors, co-mans, distributors, brands. We really sit in that main center of the supply chain. And with the launch of like Distru Commerce, our B2B menu, now we're really doubling down on the brand and the sales side of things. But our kind of vision is like cultivation all the way up to everything you do with the retailer, all the way to the cash collection and the final drop off. So it's that back end supply chain type of thing. And then we like integrate with POSs and Dutchie and Blaze and Trees. And that's kind of like the ending point where Distru is.
Awesome. I mean, that sounds like a full life cycle, back end e-commerce system. I mean, seed to sale.
Yeah, I would say like that's our vision, is like we're serving a lot of MSOs now. So like doing like BioTrack and metric states, you get their ERP so that you can avoid the double entry of metric, you avoid the double entry of accounting. And then now you layer in the B2B menu side. It's definitely that full suite comprehensive type product that we're building towards.
That's awesome.
So people are probably coming to you like, hey, can we integrate with you? Or is that how that works? Or you out and find new companies to integrate with, or?
Yeah, so we actually started getting our first integration requests in the last like 2 years, like where people are coming to us and being like, "We're going to build into you. How can we make this happen?"
Yeah.
So
awesome.
it's been really cool starting to get integration requests instead of like, us having to build everything. So I can feel the transition in the last few years.
Yeah.
That's sweet. And well, you mentioned your menus. How with your newer play on the e-commerce side, how does that menu look like with some of the other competitors out there now?
Yeah, I mean, so you got a few different players. I mean, LeafLink's bought Leaf Trade, so they're the biggest player right now. Then you have like Apex that's been around for a while. And then we have Distru Commerce. So I'd say like those are the main players in the B2B menu space. There's a lot of like frenemy stuff going on. We have an integration with LeafLink and Apex. So, we're actually like one of the number one integrated ERPs with LeafLink out there. So we consider they're still friends and we let people choose their own supply chain stack. I'm more considered as like, what do you need and what would you select? And the customer decides what they want to go with. But I'd say the biggest thing for Distru is that one, it's just a super slick dialed in menu that just works and it's a standalone product. But you also have the flexibility to pull in the ERP functionality. You're like, oh, now I need COGS. Now I need bill of materials. Oh, now I need to open up in this state that has BioTrack or Metric, and I want to, cover both places. So we have that expansion footprint after you get past your sales and your wholesale menu. And like analytics, we've really advanced analytics where you can customize, pull in your BigQuery data, you can blend it with ours, you can then, do all sorts of fancy things. I think it's that like back end of like a huge, the B2B menu is like the tip of the iceberg, but there's a huge iceberg after if you want.
Yeah, all the analytics. Billy always says data's sexy, right? And
Yeah,
it really is because
sexy.
at the dispensary level, especially knowing what's being sold, how fast it's being sold, what's the movers and shakers of your consumer products, I think is critical, especially if you want to make sure that you adhere to what the consumers need and keep those things moving off the shelf. What does it look like?
I feel an integration with the high index Blaine. I feel a good feeling about that.
Hey, maybe.
Nice. What are we doing?
Don't know yet, but so maybe.
Yeah.
Integrated, right?
Word data.
I'll send you the API later, dude.
Love it. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you, I guess, implementing or onboarding new customers in such a fragmented state or space where some states are just so different in their compliance than the others? Does that come into a battle with you guys when you're building out?
Having an absolute world-class customer success team. The vast majority, if not all, almost of like our onboarding custom teammates are power users of Distru. Like, I think we've only hired like 2 non-power users of Distru out of like the last 12 hires that came to join Distru. So when you're dealing with a customer success person at Distru, you're dealing with someone that was in the trenches in the distribution facility, in the trenches in the manufacturing facility. Yeah. I mean, picking boxes, picking things. Oh, that payment didn't arrive. Like, boop, I'm there. Like they're picking up the cash payment. That's our team. And they are ride or die. They are so smart and they've been in it. And so now they're just on the other side. And I think that's a huge connection to what the experience like is at Distru, is that you're getting someone that was literally just you less than a year or 2 or 3 ago. Huge effect, I think, on how Distru is doing right now. I think if I had to choose, it's top 2 reason why Distru is doing well.
Well, I think
they all feel the same vision. They all feel the same vision, right? They're all motivated and
they just care about the operator. It's just in the, you just care about the operator, what they're dealing with, their struggles, and you know what it feels like to have a shipment tied up and you need to, repackage it and ship it out the next day. Right. There's some sort of instinct that comes over you when you've been through it. You're like, no, that's existential and I need to deal with that today. And I think that
can't wait.
That like re-triggering, to be honest, of like
you're back in that fear mode, like, oh my God.
Hey, but we provide so much love and work-life balance at Distru. So like you hit them on the back end with the love.
Well, it just shows the culture that you have, the culture that you've built around your business. And I think that's why, or part of the reason why, obviously, beside, your awesome grind and great tech, is the culture is aligned with the industry and the people that you bring on are in it for the right reasons. And I think that's it speaks volume about your business and the people that you can retain and the people that you grow with. So that makes sense.
We're the home for the underutilized, overworked, amazing cannabis operators in this industry. Like if you want the safe home where you can just be yourself and be human and not burn your nervous system out every single day at whatever place you might be at, like we're a nice safe home for you to learn some new skills and really help the customers in the industry.
That's cool. Yeah.
What are your team seeing, or what do you see with I guess the shifting that's happening from operators? You say you were listening before early on to give them what they need. Are you seeing a different kind of shift in what operators are needing here in the future?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the market, obviously. I think there actually is a certain sense of equilibrium of the type of profiles out there. I think that there's the mid market, maybe like they're doing well in their state and starting to buy more licenses within their state, maybe branching out to one or two states, like really smaller MSO profile. The MSOs in every single state, and then you have the craft companies. And I think the smaller companies are hurting the most right now, for sure. I think they're feeling it the most, which is disappointing. I'm a huge fan of small business. But I would say that there's still health in that small profile, the ones that do it right, that understand what the game they're playing, and that they just need enough relationships to sustain and be profitable. So I'm really proud of the people that are doing that well. But the mid level on MSO does feel some sort of sense of stability. There's still a lot of operators that want to like build something great, that are mid market, single, few state operators that just want to run a great business with a great team. So yeah, there's some stability in the sense across I think the different profiles in the industry.
And it's so interesting just talking about the different levels of operators that are out there and the struggles at the top versus the bottom, and I think that it's mainly driven by states' greed of just push licenses, and also trying to accommodate the people who want them. I always think to the shift that's happening in California and Colorado, you're seeing that slow kind of move and that wave of profitability in different zones. And then I always go back to Michigan because it's on such a crunch grind for that pricing, and it's plummeting. So I think about those operators, and when you mentioned caregivers, that's right where my mind went, because there's so many caregivers that do incredible work in Michigan, and it is just it's a brutal state. It's a brutal state if you're not doing it right. If you don't have the right recipe or the right connections, the struggle is real.
Yeah, Michigan's got a huge caregiver culture, probably the biggest in the nation. So I'm like curious, I'm curious what you think, like just your gut take. Like, do you think it is like just over licensing that's the core of the problem? I'm curious, like actually, like what you think. I love hearing what people's takes on that are.
Yeah, man, I have so many different views on it. I guess from an operator and business standpoint, I think the issue is, I think it's kind of the wholesale buyers, right? So I think you have these kind of brokers that are kind of playing that middleman, and they're like, hey, we're going to sell this out, we're going to white label this, and then they're coming in and trying to negotiate at a time where prices are able to be dropped lower, because they need to move product. And then once that's created, once that demand is there, it's never going to go back up, right? So once people know that they can buy it at 300 a pound, 400 a pound, even in your worst, even though it's because of the economy, no one's ever going to be okay with now paying $800, $900 a pound again, when a month ago you gave it to them at 400. And so I think there's this weird kind of give and take that happens. I think it's the most similar instance I can relate it to is gas prices, right? Gas prices are never going to be $1 a gallon. They'll never be $2 a gallon, even if it's affordable and sustainable. Those oil companies, why would they want to do that? Why would they sell it for that price? And so you're seeing the exact opposite in cannabis, where the prices have dropped so low, they're never going to go back up, because why would they? Because consumers have already expected that level of product distribution and the price compression. So now it's combine that with oversaturation of licenses. And I get it. You want to provide more tax dollars back. You see it as, hey, I'm this government entity. This is my county. Let's give out another license. Let's have another grow. We can get a few more tax dollars. But they're not looking at the full implications of, oh, now there's another one, and now it's just going to further exacerbate this issue. So that's, I don't know. It's such a weird thing to really have to deal with, for that market. But you don't want to pull back licenses. So I don't know. It's
yeah, you want to pull them back. I think some of the mega grows, like maybe you could dial them back to a certain degree, just a little bit. Like I don't know. I would like I don't know why I personally just love going to the small retail one shops with just a cultivator that grows a lot of their own product.
Same.
In.
Yeah,
Something
it's the best.
about it.
Right.
I know it's just so
It's more
nice.
love and care on that. I mean, that's
And
their
you
baby.
can taste of the product, the store, the whole thing, and like it's I think if people can find the model, by the way, the people, the OGs, the right little, like their little ecosystem, just preserve your little bubble, man.
Yeah.
You'd be shocked as to the small entrepreneurs out there, how immune you are to everything else if you just put some love into it. Like I remember talking to an MSO and they're like, I will never be able to compete with an owner or a founder that actually cares.
Yeah.
I can never beat you.
Well, especially if you grow that brand, right? You grow that following, because there's nothing better than a plant grown with true love, true care, that's given the dedication it needs for its veg, for its flower, for the cure stage. But in those big MSOs, they have no choice. They have to pump it out. They have to keep it going. They have investors, there's shelves, they own the dispensaries. I think back to there's Hempire Collective, maybe that. Yeah, I think it's Hempire Collective, a small spot up in Clare, Michigan. I've been there twice, and they have their own grow connected to their own dispensary right there. It is deli style. You go up and it's amazing. They're growing their own stuff. They don't really distribute out their own products. They just sell it there, and it is phenomenal flower. And then I think to Left Coast Holdings over in Manistee, and I think they put out 140,000 pounds of biomass last year on one outdoor grow, right? That's one outdoor grow. And when you think about that, and they have one of their own stores, and it's incredible, and they got great products, but now they do so much with white labeling. They do so much with selling, batches of distillate and all this stuff. So it's just interesting because they started at that, that one small spot, and then they got an extra 25 acre on the farm, then an extra 25 acre on the farm. And the next thing you know, they're putting in 60,000 plants by hand every year. I mean, it's incredible to see.
Yeah. And what really matters is once this goes eventually federal, I'd like to assume, because I don't know, you never know with the states' rights pushes nowadays. But either way, once we get to like more of like a normalization pattern across the industry on things, like where are we going? Like, are we trying to chase the agriculture model, the alcohol? Because I like to think it was like alcohol is the least regulated, and then it's like agriculture, which is like, I know it's weird because alcohol is technically more regulated, but like just all the subsidization and the regulation around agriculture just makes it more intertwined with the government. And then healthcare on the far end of the extreme where it's like price controls. And I'm trying to understand like where cannabis is going to land. And I think it'll just land in alcohol, where it's just going to continue being the wild, wild west. And in that world, licensing and supply and demand matching matters a lot.
Yeah, that's where it feels like.
A lot. Yeah.
I don't know how it could fall anywhere else outside of that kind of alcohol world, that kind of ATF world. I don't really see it as an FDA, kind of agriculture. It just would, it would be, it would be tough to imagine.
Have you seen like Paca? Have you seen Paca at all? Like, this one's going to blow your mind, man. I don't know if it's so like in the agriculture, it's not even just like the how regulated versus not regulated. It's also just like the tooling and the infrastructure the government provides your industry. So like in Paca, if you're an agriculture supplier and you sell to a retailer like Walmart or Target for grocery stores, there is a literal law that says we will cover your invoices if the retailer doesn't pay you on time.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
When I read this, I was like, wait, what? The government has a huge fund and they just pay you out if the retailer doesn't pay you?
Is this real? Is this real? Yeah, right.
I've confirmed it. I've talked to operators. They're like, yeah, it's real. They're like, yeah, if you don't get paid, you just go to this and you get the money direct.
What an incredible resource.
It's an unreal resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a large amount of money. It's crazy. And this is real. That is the world they live in. That is the world that they are used to, and it's real, and it actually works, and they do pay out on that. So,
wow.
Good
that's what I mean U.S. government. Like, good for you.
Yeah. So like, can we get in on that? How do we?
Right.
How does the cannabis industry we're a plant.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, and that's what I think so weird, because I don't think that even if it goes federally legal, or even if they just change it so it's no longer federally illegal, I think that you're going to have a lot of the states and counties, just like there still are dry counties for alcohol in this country, which is crazy in itself. But because it doesn't, I don't know, man, you think about how much regulation goes into growing lettuce, what they say you can and cannot put on it, the exporting of, said products. And because of that reefer madness, I just can't ever see cannabis getting to that space where, any farmer can just have it and export it and grow it, without any kind of issues. So I think it'll fall into that alcohol guidelines, just for the simple fact too that it's not as much as we know it's medicine, as much as we know the medicinal components and benefits of cannabis. Because of that black labeled reefer madness, they're never going to just have it as a. So, and even if they do allow it to be like a true medicinal ingredient and the cannabinoids and the terps from it, I think that ultimately they'll have a segment, right? Where even if I'm allowed to grow it, I will have to then give those components to a medical producer. And I think that's what will be the new trend if it became federally legal and they actually put these in buckets.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's just weird. You know, what's really bizarre is I think, though, the entire industry in itself won't be predicated on the actual consumer products. And I mean, I truly believe this. I think that when everything shifts, we'll actually begin to use the plant that it was intended for. I mean, with every aspect of the plant, all the way down from the roots to the fibers, we could get rid of so much waste throughout the entire globe if we leveraged hemp fibers to make all of our goods. You know, think about all the plastic we can get rid of just by using the actual fibers from a hemp plant that grows 20 feet tall. Right.
That was actually one of my reasons for getting into the industry. So I worked at 3M, and they actually have a periodic table of elements, essentially their own internal one at 3M.
Oh, awesome.
It's super cool. So it's like 146 elements they've created, you know, like they made Teflon. And so it's really cool. It's like their own little chart, and they show how they're used and what they do and things like that. And I just always love the idea. I was like, man, if they could just get their hands on hemp. And the reality is the research just isn't happening there to find out if it is viable as an alternative. And it's just the taboo and stigma of attempting it. But it is actually interesting with all the hemp production getting a little bit more normalized, depending where that goes. I could see a threshold getting crossed where it's experimented on. I totally love the fiber play, dude. I fucking love it. That was I would love to see hemp houses more.
100%. 100%. Because they got
way.
those blocks now that are coming out. These, you know, you can build a home in 2 weeks and you can use these, but those ones are made out of some type of fiberglass. You know, it's some type of plastic based, and yes, they're recycling plastic, so that's great, you know, but there's all these different things coming out like that. And you think about paper, you think about styrofoam, you think about all these things, just chopping down trees for what? I mean, you could grow so much hemp, you'll never need to cut down another tree for paper ever again. And it's real. And so it's just bananas to me. And so I think that the whole push of the industry and the real money that will be made is going to be actually on textile products and manufacturing because of the plant, but then also on travel. I truly believe that destination cannabis will be the moneymaker once everything the dust settles on the early industry. You know,
cannabis cruises. Cannabis
100%.
They're doing that right now. They're doing it, I think.
There are. There's a couple out there, man. And that'll be the big thing, because I got to be honest, if I can go spend a week on a cannabis cruise, it's bouncing around between, you know, the islands where I love, you know, going back and forth, and we're just ripping on different strains from different islands, and we got like the ganja mecca on this boat, I'm going. I mean, just sign me up right now. I'll take the early pass.
Yeah,
let's do it.
100%. Let's go.
But then also concerts and stuff, and now with the explosion
wellness yoga, throw that in. Let's get
for sure. You know, they got goat yoga where you can do yoga and have that goat stand on your back. That's like a thing. I'd rather have a joint, you know. But it's just weird times, you know. Who knows where it's going to land? But it's exciting. It's exciting. What do you think?
I love those takes.
I mean, it's so interesting because no one knows, and you think about how crazy the industry is. You know, just now, Raw bought High Times for $3.5 million. I think that's the wildest thing for that cost, to buy High Times, one of the most cannabis legacy components of U.S. cannabis history. High Times, it has to be number one, and yet sold for $3.5 million. You'd think it would have a higher valuation, but hopefully. And it's contingent on the cup coming back. So I think that's really cool. And it's just another indicator of how the industry is shifting and where the money is going for it and where it's been.
No, but it's cool. I love where you're at, like the export lounges and the trips and the hemp stuff. That is real. Like getting more outlets for creative ways for cannabis to for companies to expand, like the companies that are hemp beverages. Like people are adding those on to their product lines. We talked to a lot of our companies that are doing that.
Those are big.
Yeah, it's huge. So it's like, I think all this like diversification of cannabis in the industry, like there's no question some of our customers would be involved in the lounges, the trips, and the hemp, plastics and things like that. Like, depending on the type of operator. So I really do like this stuff. And I think it's time for the industry to get creative and innovative. I think we have a long, long 5,000-year journey of how the cannabis industry will evolve. And we're very early.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a way that we could start pushing, as a society to get some of the regulations pulled back from the destruction of the biomass afterwards. Cause I think that's a huge component of it. Because if you're having to just take your stalks and just burn them, bury them, do whatever, make some cat litter, whatever the state's telling you to do, which is just bananas.
Coffee and cat litter.
Yeah, just ridiculous shit. Let's bury it 10 feet under, guys. We can't ever have these roots from these cannabis plants come back. Let's incinerate them. It's just, once we can get that kind of removed, we can then start actually doing research on it, because it would make sense right now if a business operated and they're like, hey, we clean up your biomass and we come in, you grew 160,000 pounds last year and you got these stalks and these roots. Well, we're just going to take them. And it's an easy process, especially in a state like Michigan, where you have 100 of those people growing that much weight, right? Think about how much you could do. Those old textile paper factories that have been run down, closed for years, repurposed, new jobs, all this stuff happening. It's just, the future is bright for the cannabis industry.
It's a new avenue, Blaine, for Distru.
Yeah, shit. Start distributing some of that some of that biomass, dog.
Hey, maybe. Interesting you say that.
Yeah.
So what do you think is you look forward to, the next couple of years with your product and how it's expanding? Are there other markets that you're looking at as well, not just cannabis, but do you have another play that's pushing maybe into the psychedelic space, maybe into hemp only space? How does that look?
So I mean, we're definitely all in on cannabis right now. I mean, we're launching our BioTrack integration, or it's live right now, but like in New York and New Mexico and Florida and a few other places. And we're expanding with MSOs, and we haven't even hit Canada, and we're launching our commerce menu, which is going really well. I think we got like 450 retailers placing orders in the first 2.5 weeks or something.
Nice.
That's awesome. Congrats.
So like, I mean, yeah, because we really $2.8 billion of GMV, and all signs are looking good for this year to even increase it more. Just stay focused on that. Just stay focused on the commerce opportunity and the track and trace and the compliance. Be the best metric and BioTrack integrated ERP with a strong commerce platform for brands and multi-state operators to, sell to the retailers. I think we're going to stay there, and there's a lot to do there. We're working on our cultivation too. And there's a ton of extensions and different product lines and integrations we get to build still that I think have a lot of upside. So if there was a direction, it'd probably be AI.
Yeah.
We've talked about AA. Got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah. Let's not go down that route. This is a cannabis podcast, but all right, I like AI. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. So let me ask you, with obviously staying focused on cannabis, staying rooted with your system and what you're building for your customers, how do the THC drinks play in, especially now where you have so many states that aren't cannabis federally, cannabis legal, but they're slinging drinks? Think Georgia, North Carolina, and there's all of these now bans coming out, especially in California. I know they're making a push for, hey, let's ban these THC beverages, THC hemp-derived beverage drinks, and they're pushing for it hard now. Is there a place for your guys' system to help out with that supply chain channel, even though it's not necessarily going into a dispensary? It might be going into a retail or...
Yeah, so 100%. We do. We work with hemp operators. We work with companies that do hemp bev. We work with companies that do emulsions that supply to hemp beverage companies. I literally introed a company, perfectly dosed to an operator last week on the hemp beverage side. So yeah, we're big on, supplying, working with the people on the software side to help them work in there. So there's two fronts. How does Distru work with these people? And then what do I think about hemp beverages? So how do we work with them? It's pretty simple. Usually they have the hemp bev facility right next to it. So it's like, all right, let's do the production and manufacturing still through Distru. And as you can track your COGS and your BOMs and your accounting. And then it depends on who they're selling to. If it's B2B, totally you can use Distru as is. But if you're going direct to consumer, I do generally recommend like a Shopify for various reasons, and integrations with Amazon and things like that, or retail stores, and if you're selling into random retails, there's a whole bunch of reasons why you should do it. So if you're doing the D2C, I definitely think Shopify. Yeah, we work with tons of people on their split supply chain. So where do I think that's going? I think everyone and their mother is whipping up a quick hemp bev line.
Yeah,
Seems like
Call up an emulsion company, call up a packaging company, like we can start the higher index hemp bev fucking this weekend if you want.
THX. Yeah, you're right. I thought about that. Yeah, private label. Boom.
Yeah, you want to rip some Distru higher index, like just to see how fast we can spin one up and just see what it's like. Thought experiment.
All these celebs are popping out with them real quick too. It's crazy.
Well, they got the capital to do it. Why not, right? I mean, if I had an extra $100,000 around, just like he said, we can call up a few companies. We can get it started next week. We'd have some in production. It's that fast.
So, okay. Yeah, and I like that how fast it is. The entrepreneur in me loves that side, and I like the accessibility to the consumer. But like when I see these things, I just know the America that I know and the one that I grew up in. If I know the American justice system, it's like K10 freaking. I mean, we can go down the line of like little random drugs that have spawned up in a freaking. Wait, what was that other one? The one makes you trip balls.
The one that made you trip balls for like 30 seconds.
Yes. Not Steve.
Citavis is no. What is it? It's saliva. I was thinking sativa, but and then I was thinking sativa, but no, there was
drug that makes you trip for 20 seconds really hard and drool and fall on the ground.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That one, K2, the others. I just think like one. I don't think that's right.
Sylvia, that's what it was called. Sylvia.
Yeah, great, love it. So let's go. So they can't do that because it's just too dangerous to the consumer.
Yeah,
I kind of agree to a certain degree. I don't like dosing people that don't know what they're doing, getting into these things. It's a terrible first experience. It's huge connection to the effect of the reputation of the cannabis industry. Yes, that
100%.
does affect us. Those bad stories have a real impact, and there's a huge difference between getting a 5 milligram gummy and getting too much dosage because you don't know what you're doing and the person doesn't know how to sell it and there's no regulations around it. It has a real negative effect. So like I personally believe it's inevitable for that.
Yeah,
it's inevitable for the 16-year-old guy or girl to get too high and then their mom find out and then the cops to find out and then them to shut that down in the state. I just think
that's the worst part about it. It's definitely the worst part about it.
It's inevitable. Kratom's the only one that's even like snuck through the whole ecosystem and like stayed sticky to a certain degree. Just because I don't know, for various reasons, but like I just think that that's mainly the U.S. system will shut it down.
That's why for me, like it was awesome to hear that the U.S. has given back to that ag space and, hey, we'll give you back if they're not paying, and things like that are awesome. But then I scratch my head about instances like this where the EPA is basically just putting up their hands and allowing all of these synthetics from all over the world come into the U.S. unregulated. They don't really touch it. They don't care. And you're not only with those individual products, but just tobacco vaping products in general. When you have a company like Juul that's trying to do it right, that's producing their nicotine from actual tobacco, and they're like, nah, you can't sell your flavored ones because it's too involved for children, and that's what it's appealing to. But then you don't actually control the influx of all these Chinese synthetic made chemicals pushing in that you can buy in any vape shop. And I think to your point, Blaine, is that with the drinks, especially because it's unregulated, because people are just buying hemp distillate by the barrels and they're just making whatever the fuck they want. It's not being tested. And then just turn around and put it into a store they're not checking IDs. And even if they were, they don't really care about the ID check versus the dollar coming in the register. And so they're slinging it out. And to your point, just consuming something that may or may not be what it is. And so the the bad reputation that expels on the cannabis industry is bananas, but it's just backwards because the cannabis side is so heavily regulated, and yet that stuff's running rampant and they're just not doing anything. And if they were to come in and just put some effort forth in testing and compliance and say, hey, we're at least going to say what it is before you can sell it, I think we can get over this. But everyone just wants to point a finger and just slap a label on it. And now you have all these states jumping on the bandwagon of Texas saying, we're just going to outlaw everything. And that's not the right approach either. Just
is there even more states that piggybacked onto that?
Yeah, it's starting right now, and you're seeing senators and you're seeing different government politicians.
Which
in
states
different
did
states.
it? Sorry to interrupt. Which states did it?
So right now, North Carolina just had a meeting last week, and they're going to put out a ban, and they want to ban all THC hemp-derived drinks and products in their state. And now California, their governor just came out. It's crazy.
That's funny. You say North Carolina. Because I went to I'm from East Coast. I've gone to North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. So I actually have an interesting I've been to like, Georgia. So a few of these different states where like, it's like illegal. And like, man, North Carolina and South Carolina, you just go in there and it's like a weed shop straight out. It's like a candy store. It's like,
Really?
it's like you just walk right in. When I went in there, I was like, oh man, some teenager is going to get obliterated.
They're gonna get sick. They're gonna be all fucked up. Like, but it's how
So
it is in most
back-
gas stations. In pretty much any gas station I go in North Carolina, especially when you're off in the back roads, it's just
They
full
were
of
the
those
most.
products.
They were the worst, even worse than Texas. So it's like, I think if my real take though, if we can like, because there's channels of distribution. You have just like the dispensaries, then you have the liquor stores, then you have the actual grocery stores, then you have the convenience stores, and then you have like the smoke shops. I think there's some level of selection and control over a really low dose beverage, very low dose, that the regulation at the manufacturing level is extremely stringent there. I could see the hemp beverages kind of getting through with a low dose channel, but the inhalables and things like that and the gummies, I just think that one, I think is most likely to get banned. I'm open-minded to a combination of SKUs,
Yeah.
but I think there's going to be a potentially low SKU count combination of very low dose, regulated at the manufacturing level supply of hemp products that I would be on board for, as long as it's really controlled what that dose is and the consumer knows, just like a beer is 5% with 12 ounces. There's some inherent assumption of the beer of cannabis. If we can have that, I think we're good. And I think we could do that, but
Absolutely,
it needs to be very low, very low.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that makes sense. Just some level of regulatory component to it. So it's just not the wild, wild west of whatever.
Yeah.
And because I often think about the drinks and the implication of drinking the THC and driving, the delayed onset of it, and obviously if anyone in the industry knows, THC and driving is not the same thing as alcohol and driving. However, people, especially people who aren't in the industry, who don't consume, to them, it's the same thing. In their mind, you're driving under the influence. It is a huge problem. You're going to kill somebody. And although that's most likely not the case in many, many, many scenarios, it's still something that has to be looked at, especially when you're talking about kids. You're just starting driving, and now they can just go buy this THC drink, and they don't know what's in it and the onset effect, how long the delay is going to be. I worry about that for my kids growing up, just because of all these one-off synthetic drugs that just pop up and go away. And it's just like, man, it's a dangerous time. And I think that it's interesting, especially when, we don't want more regulation, but there is a need for it. And it's like, how do you bridge that gap? And I think it starts with, I know in Virginia, they're trying to outlaw all of the THC products derived from hemp as well, because it's the same thing here in North Carolina and Georgia, where you can go in any store and buy whatever you want. And most of them are these women-owned businesses or these small, owned businesses, and they're just putting whatever shelves they can on the product. And we know damn right, it's not a 30-year-old guy sitting around and buying that stuff. Maybe it is, but it's most likely that 18-year-old, that, someone else, someone younger, and it's just not good. It's not good. I just give them a joint, just give them a joint, go sit on the couch. You'll be fine.
Experiment. Everybody's got to experiment with everything once. Just grab it, drink it, see what happens.
Let me tell you something. I go to so many shows. When I go throughout the country and I go throughout the shows, always run into somebody who's been making their own stuff. Here, I grew this, this is my strain. And I'm always like, fantastic. This is my kind of show. Let me see your home grow. But then you always run into those people who are like, yeah, here's my home grow, but here's my gummies. And look, I made this Kool-Aid. Now, don't get me wrong. I've gotten everything under the sun given to me at shows over the past few years. I mean, Funyuns, Kool-Aid, chocolate syrup, whatever you can imagine has been given to me, half of which has been made by somebody in their house. Now, I don't consume those ones because I don't know that person. I don't know what they put in it. I don't know how they made it. I don't know what they sprayed on their flour before they produced the distillate, before they produced their sugars or their butters. And so
I'll try it. Give it to me.
But that mentality, Billy, that you have, it's definitely an older generation, because my mom, right? I come back and I'm like, Mom, I got this Kool-Aid. And it says like 500 milligrams on it. It looks like ketchup. It's thick. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to touch this, right? And she's like, nah, I'll try it. I'll drink it. But like, you're savage. But I think it's your age bracket, Billy. I think you guys are you hit that 50 mark, and you'll try it all.
50? Yeah.
Didn't you just turn 50? Don't mess with me.
I'm fucking 50. Yeah, God damn it.
You look great for 50, Billy. You look great for 50.
Yeah.
You really do.
The camera puts on 10. Right? What is it, 20? Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'll go with 30. Yeah, higher
Right,
the better.
30?
Yeah,
Right.
30
Yeah,
pounds. Yeah, Probably
right.
30, probably 30.
You just see my face. Yeah.
So what are you guys doing, Blaine, to, I guess, prepare for any, federal changes or interstate commerce? Are you guys putting things in place, or at least hypothesizing what your system will need to do if that does happen?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. We work with a lot of operators across a lot of states already. So if it came federally legalized, we would have to do a lot for these people to make sure their software stack and their, compliance to regulations, most importantly, are smooth in transition. That's the biggest thing, making sure that their compliance regulatory reporting is absolutely seamless and transitions in a perfect way. So that's the number one thing that we have to do to prepare, which is a lot. Transitioning the state with BioTrack and metric and this and different state regulations to in a cohesive way is a huge deal. So that's our primary role in it. And then the other one is just we have 2.8 billion of GMV right now, but it's going to grow and grow. We grew, 35% in the last year. So
Nice.
I expect this to be at, 4 or 5 billion, not too long out. Just, by the sheer volume, just working with operators, coordinating them, making sure that they get aligned. And when petitions come up, sometimes we send out surveys to people to get around the right causes and rally around the right causes. But I really think the technology stack side is a really big deal, guys. Like with the AI coming and how that's going to transform how we interact with people, we have a huge role to play when it comes to how we interact and transact with each other. And I think that really does matter. So that's our role mainly in it. But to be honest with you, just as like a, cannabis enthusiast and lover, like I wish I could get more involved in the federal side of things. Like I wish I could get more involved to have more change there. And, we've navigated some fronts there, but it is an elusive beast, American political system.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's, part of the reason
that. Let's not get into that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Not even that sad. Just like, it's just it's just a crazy one.
Yeah. My computer's going to die anyway.
My previous world was in government contracting and government technology and bidding on those proposals and putting forth, what they need. And I think that'll be the case once the feds start shifting. They're going to just reach out to a company like yours, hopefully ours in the future, and say, hey, we need a proposal. We need all the data. We need the analytics. And we'll have an opportunity to play more of a role in what that looks like, I think, once that shifts. What do you think interstate commerce is going to be like? What would you want it to be like?
That's a great question. I mean, I always support the small business owners and mid-market owners. I mean, I love MSOs as well. Like, I love a big operator as well. But like, I just want to make sure that there's the people that made this plant legal and the people that fought for it, the people that brought this medicine to every single cancer patient that out there that I've ever heard of in the last 5 years that all has touched cannabis comes from the people that fought for it. In what times when they don't understand what the sacrifices that they made. They sacrificed their lives, they sacrificed their children, they sacrificed everything. And we are riding on the backs of those people. So like, it is very important that we try to prioritize the small businesses and the people that grow great weed and care about the plant first and foremost.
Very well
Just
said. Very well said. Yeah.
Yeah. They make it with love. They care about it. Like, I've just heard too many stories about people with a kid with epilepsy and then a caregiver helped out, or, 5 of my teammates at least have parents that have had cancer, and it was like transformational. And that wouldn't have happened if they didn't fight for it. So I just believe whatever we can do to get a healthy 30% plus of the entire industry is small craft growers and small craft operators and more SMB. I think just the better for the industry at large.
Yeah.
Better for humans. Agree. Yeah. God damn.
Yeah. Well, the events that they'll throw, the little local community building, like, you know what I mean? Like, and MSOs throw down a community. I don't get me wrong. They do sometimes. They do some stuff. Like they get some, Super Bowl ads out there, which matter too. Like,
for sure.
Stuff matters too. But like the local community aspect and development, I think from the small businesses is real. And, yeah, so I would love it to like that. So how do you get there? How do you facilitate that? We just got to be really careful on supply and control. And I don't want the craft growers to get completely overshadowed by too much supply. So I just want to make sure that there's not a massive suppliers that can get just everywhere and just break the market. I just don't think it's worth it. I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. I often wonder if it did happen, right? If people it would be amazing for the businesses in Michigan if they could export to another state. That would be incredible for their business. It would open up a brand new revenue stream. Same thing, Colorado, California, all these states that have the bulk growth, that have bulk products sitting on shelves waiting, that's backstocked, especially for gummies. But at the same time, it's going to undercut even more people, and you're going to see an actual widespread price compression when that happens. So I can see a good and bad. I think in a perfect world, I'd like to see that they just don't not allow consumers to carry cannabis legally state to state. I think that's a good start, right? Allow at least consumer interstate commerce so that I don't feel like an asshole and feel like I'm doing something illegal when I have to drive from Virginia to DC for maybe, let's say, a Capitals game, or when I got to drive to Maryland for a Washington Commanders game. But even still, like if you're taking any kind of cannabis back and forth, you're just opening yourself up to a huge risk. So I think that would be a cool shift to see just on the beginning side, you know.
I like to see banking open up.
No, banking.
I can't believe crypto got the executive order to get banking opened up, and they were like, did you know that cannabis and crypto are both banned? And then they opened up crypto, and then we didn't get it. We didn't get it.
They're like, oh, these guys. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Our partners in the crypto space, and you know, we definitely are going to start looking at how we can leverage Bitcoin and crypto referral programs for our system in a way that people who aren't in it, if they want to be in it, they can get a little slice of a crypto. And we hope to implement that soon. And but
nice.
it's weird because, you know, when I asked a few people early on when we got started, I was like, hey, we're getting ready to start this company. And they're like, do you want to get involved? They're like, cannabis space is way too regulated for me. You know, way too regulated. We're trying to get away from that government reg space. Well, it's too regulated. We don't want to do it. Too much compliance. But then they immediately jumped in on the crypto, and now crypto is going to, I think, begin to face that certain level of inevitable scrutiny by our government, even though it's supposed to be this defragged currency and inability to have control. Somebody's going to try and control it, and I think it's only a matter of time. And unfortunately, this is that first step for crypto, which is hey, we're going to allow you to bank it, but now we're going to control all those banks that are going to have anything to do with that crypto, and we're going to have the underside of it.
It's just centralized anyway.
Yeah, it's like we have this good idea, but now we're going to centralize it again, you know? So, hey, that's just the giant circle of life we're in now, right?
Centralized decentralization. I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we got all the way back to, right? So wild. So, you know, as we kind of start wrapping this up a little bit, you know, what do you wish more operators knew about your software before launching?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a solid, amazing user experience. It's just a solid product. It's just really really well considered and crafted well, in the sense that just like all the clicks are just logical. They make sense. The flows make sense. It feels thoughtful across the whole ecosystem and how they connect and how you navigate the software, whether it's from manufacturing all the way up to the final sale and payment. So I would say the cohesion, the user experience, the UI, and then just the general flow of the app is really a standout experience. And that results in a lot of time saved. So yeah. That's what I then.
Sweet.
And what would you tell someone, I guess, building a B2B system in the cannabis space right now? What would you tell them if they're getting started?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of opportunity in the B2B space. Just get creative, get innovative, find the right model and the right software or physical or operator stack that kind of pieces it together. Don't be afraid to blend software with operations. You know what I mean? Like, get creative in how you approach things, because there's still new problems that are emerging in this industry. So there's still some opportunity here. Yeah, I would say just get creative in your model and really think through what your model is. And is that model going to grow with the health of the industry over the next 10 years? And as long as your idea feels like it gets better with time as the industry matures, then I think you have a solid idea.
As long as everyone's using AI, right? Use what you
need.
I
mean,
put it in there.
Right on.
I can't wait till we start rolling out some of our AI features here in the next quarter. I'm so excited about it. I think that's it's that level of innovation and step up that just make it exciting.
It's cool, man. It's a cool time. I can't wait.
Yeah. So Blaine, you came from, that background of development and engineering beforehand. Are you still in the trenches writing code these days with Distru?
I'm getting off this call to go code, man.
I love that, dude. I love that. Love that.
You're itching to get off. To go.
Consider me a woodworker that just wants to go make a freaking table, man. Just like, I do a lot of hands-on stuff too. And, I've done metalwork, woodwork and all that. And, been in the shop, more than enough time, handled some industrial timber and all that plastics. So I love the physical side. And I think right now I'm just geeking out on the software side, and I love building it and piecing it together. I'm really enjoying building again, man. It's so nice. Like,
That's awesome.
so just
That's
having
awesome.
fun with it, like let's
Well, you can
code
hear the
again.
enthusiasm. You can hear the enthusiasm and love you have in your voice. And it makes sense that you're building all these other things and that you're woodworking and working with, and I can't wait for these textile opportunities for the cannabis fibers, bro. I can't wait to see what you make with them. You're going to be out there whittling, weaving, pressing.
Right,
I can
right,
see it now.
yeah. I love that.
No,
Yeah.
but hey, if anyone wants to work on next level technology at the highest level and caliber out there and develop AI in cannabis as well as just general tech and feels that they have that ability chops and they want to be able to join a team that will enable them to foster those abilities and deploy that in the world in the cannabis industry, please reach out at Blaine@Distru.com because like we want to find you, we want to help you, we want to work with you, we want you to unleash your creativity.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
I think that we should just sum it up with that because that was amazing.
That was it. Yeah.
And Blaine, I just got to say, man, thank you for being on and thanks for unpacking everything because
Absolutely.
it's been a phenomenal conversation. It's been great.
Dude, it was
Yeah, it's been
super fun.
fun.
Have a great day, guys.
Real fun.
Enjoyed it a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thanks for everyone tuning in to One Puff Media. And until next episode where we spotlight more of the innovators in the tech and cannabis space, thank you for rolling with us. Thanks
Thanks everybody. Good. Yeah.